Today I've got a freebie for you, but I kind of need your help fixing it. Hi everybody, welcome back to Talk and Chalk. This is my channel. I'm Beck. I'm an assistant principal in Southwest Sydney, and if you're one of my new followers, welcome. I am very close to hitting the 10,000 subscriber mark on YouTube, which is insane. Tick, 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 tick. Let's see who will be number 10,000. Moving on to today's topic though. Today, I want to share with you guys a resource that I've kind of been working on. It's a differentiation / adjustments like tracking chart or lists chart, I guess. I haven't finalized this, so I'm hoping to get some feedback about or advice on what you think I should do to refine it or improve it. Part of the role that I have at my school is the Learning Support Team Coordinator. Part of this role means sort of the ongoing monitoring of data that we submit for the NCCD register. So for those of you who aren't in my system, this is essentially a list of kids that may or may not have a diagnosed need. So things like autism or, ADHD, or if they've got a language delay of some kind. Some of these things attract funding, some don't. But what we have to do is monitor all of this information that comes in with those kids that we make adjustments for in the classroom. And they have different levels as well. So just for the information for those of you that aren't sort of involved in that, I'll link a few different things in the description box below that give you some information about this. But for me as a Learning Support Team Coordinator, it's always hard to know, I guess, the nitty-gritty of what's going on in classrooms. So some kids, especially kids that attract funding, have an individual education program where these things would be really explicitly listed. But for those kids that we make slight adjustments for across all KLAs, sometimes don't always get noted down, or they're noted down specifically for that particular lesson or that thing that happens. So for me as a coordinator, for me to find out all of that information, it means going through everybody's programs, finding those lessons where those things are tweaked or modified, and being able to document that down. So I wanted to create a way, like a snapshot of that class and how that class is modified for those particular students across those KLAs. So what I've done is I've created a grid pretty much with the KLAs, with the kids' names, and then just some example ways that that child might be differentiated for or adjustments might be made. And this includes resources, the approach that you take, what you do. So I haven't done a completed one that looks schmick. What I've done is just kind of chucked in a bunch of information, thinking back to kids that I've had as well, and putting that down as an example. Because what I'd love to hear is advice from you guys about what you would like to see in there, how it could be tweaked, or how you might change it to suit the needs of your school, your context, and the differentiation and adjustments that you make. So you'll see in there for one of the students, I've literally put IEP, because that's a whole separate program that needs to be followed. And then as Learning Support Team Coordinator, I would know, I get to that kid's on an IEP, I'm going to go get that IEP so that I know how to record that NCCD information as well. So I'm going to flip to some video that I took some screen grabs of this document and how you can download it for yourself so that you can use it and trial it, because I'd love to refine it ready for the 2020 school year. So let's have a look at it. Okay guys, so I'm giving you the link to the Google folder that has these documents in them. So you can see here I'm giving you a PDF version of it, and then this is the Word document version of it. So what you do is you just double tap on it, and if you come up the top here, you'll see this little icon with the arrow, that's download. So you just click on that, download it, open it, and then save it as your own file, and then you will be able to edit it. I get a lot of people requesting access to edit original things in these folders that I share, and you don't need to do that. You should just be able to download and then use it as your own. So when you open it up in the Word document version, this is what the adjustment / differentiation chart looks like. I've color coded it to match our syllabus documents. Now remember, I'm New South Wales, so this is matching our color coding system that we use for our curriculum here. So we've got English, Maths, PDHPE, HISI, Science and Technology, and Creative Arts. Now, I've tried to break it down a little bit here. So you can see I've got reading, writing, and speaking in English. And I know there is so much more to our curriculum, but I find that when we're using higher levels of differentiation and adjustments, it's in these main areas. When we're talking about things like feedback and thinking critically, we're not having to actually provide lots of different resources or a wide variety of strategies for that. It is very much differentiated for the child, but these are the main things. So obviously, if we're talking about receiving and giving feedback, that could come down to talking and listening, so those speaking sections. Or if we're providing feedback in a context where a child has to read the feedback, obviously that's a reading strategy. So that's why I broke it down like that. When it comes to maths, I did split it up between number and other because I come across a lot of scenarios where kids find things like those spatial concepts like measurement, they can do that. However, it's the number area that they struggle in, things like, multiplication, if they're finding the area of that shape. They know how to figure out, that, side by the length is the measurement. It's the actual multiplication part that they're stuck on, which is why I separated those. For PDHPE, I separated it into health PD and then PE because one is more theory and the other one is more physical. So that's why I split those two. HISI, obviously, between history and geography. They are two very different types of study. Sometimes I find kids don't necessarily grasp the historical concepts as well as they do the geographical ones. Science and technology, I didn't split it between science and technology only because I was running out of room here. So if you find a way to separate that, go for it. And with creative arts, obviously that can be separated into creative arts and performing arts, but I didn't do that this time because we are expecting a new syllabus soon, either next year or the year after. We're going to start seeing draft versions of that coming out for teachers to have a look at. So I've just left it like that for now. Plus, like I said, I was running out of space. So let's have a look at some of the examples I've put in here. Now, over here, obviously, you'll have the full student name. I just put it down to sort of initials for now. So I'm using a class that I had a few years ago as my, way of just trying to fill this out to see if it would work. So that's why the initials are there. So obviously my first two students, they were on track. They didn't need really differentiation or adjustment, so I haven't really noted anything down. So let's look at this VI one here. So VI for writing, she needed a wrist brace and a slanted board. So this was a physical need that this particular student had. So it didn't affect her cognition, but it meant that if she didn't have those support measures in place, she found it very, very difficult to complete the tasks. So because it was physical, obviously she needed stuff for PE, leg braces and separate time recording because she qualified for different categories when it came to zone and regional sporting activities. For science and technology, she needed an iPad or a high chair for the PC just to be able to access those things properly. The iPad, obviously, because it meant there was less strain on her fine motor skills. And then for creative arts, a wrist brace for any fine motor activities like painting and leg braces for performing arts like dancing. So another example, CI here. So looking at reading, writing and speaking, this student needed heavy orientation for new text with visuals. Lots of videos, pictures, that's what I mean by visuals, not just the stuff that's in the book, things to make those text to world connections or text to self connections. In writing, she had her own individual word book that matched the word wall and then added her own words to it as well. And this was to sort of reinforce some of that recall and connectedness. And then in speaking, really had to reinforce the focus of what that task was and then ask her to repeat it back. In number, she always had number charts, concrete materials, and then we switched the buddy that she worked with between someone who was at her level and at a higher level, just so we could get that mix and the role modeling. And then obviously for history and geography, needed high use of visuals to be able to make those connections because there was very limited background knowledge of that. And then for science and technology, just needed a buddy for typing in websites. Otherwise, she would be there forever trying to type it in. But for creative arts, she needed to be extended. Very, very amazing skills when it came to that. So have a look at this document and see some of the examples that are there, because I would really love to hear your feedback on what you would add, any particular points that might be there, and how this works for you. Okay, so you can see it as a snapshot there. Download it, have a look, play with it, maybe give it a go this term and see if you think I should be refining it with anything in particular. If you're interstate and you do it in a different way, if you're a learning support team coordinator and you do it differently. I know this doesn't necessarily apply perhaps for secondary because there's so many different subject variations that you could use. But I mean, if you have anything that you think would be beneficial for me to use for my staff to be able to do it, I'd love to hear from you. So Pop comments below, send me a message on any of my socials, you know, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of those things. I'm on there, and I always reply if you send me a message. I'd really like to refine this before the end of the year. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope this was helpful. I will pop my channel link down here. So if you haven't subscribed, click that subscribe button. Let's see how we go over 10,000 and hubby calls me a real YouTuber. And I'll pop one of my other videos at the top there as well. Have a great week, guys. Bye.